I'll chant and you can repeat. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamritaduhe Namaha Karpanyadoshopahatas Svabhavah Pritchami Tvam Dharma Sammudhachetah Yat Shreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashocyan Anvashocastvam Prajnavadamscha Bhasase Gatasun Agatasunschа Nanu Shochanti Panditaha Vihaya Kamanya Sarvan Pumamscharati Nisprihaha Nirmamo Nirahankaraha Sa Shantim Adhigacchati Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvannapi na lipyate Uddharedatmanatmanam Natmanam avasadayet Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu Atmaiva ripuratmanah Ahamatma gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitah Ahamadischa madhyam cha Bhutanam anta eva cha Bhoktaram yajna tapasam Sarvaloka maheshwaram Suhridam sarvabhutanam Jnatva mam shantim mriccati Etu sarvani karmani Mayi sanyasya matparaha Ananyenaiva yogena Mam dhyayanta upasate Teshamaham samudharta Mrityu samsara sagarat Bhavami na chirat partha Maya veshita chetasam Adveshta sarvabhutanam Maitrah karuna evacha Nirmamo nirahankaraha Samadukha sukha kshami Santushta Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drida Nischayah Mayarpita Mano Buddhihi Yo Mad Bhakta Same Priyah Harihi Om Tat Sat. Good. So I would recommend that you take a printout of this, and every day, at least once or twice, you can chant this, right? Focusing on the meaning, right? So the Anvaya is given where it is the word by word, and most of the words you should be able to easily recognize because most of the nouns are common in all Indian languages. So you should be able to recognize, and now and also the meaning is there. So like looking at the meaning, you will be able to easily map it to the words which is here, right? For example, like for sure, okay, nishchitam, right? Shreyah, what is right, right? Bruhi, tell that, right? Tat, that. Bruhi, tell, tat, that, me, right? To me, right? Shishya, te, aham, I am your disciple. So that way you should be able to map the word by word meaning, um, the words to their meanings looking at this. So spend some time, right? Personally, spend some quiet time on self study of this, right? Like go through it carefully and understand the word by word meaning from what is given here, and learn to chant and keep and chant loudly every day. If you chant every day within 3 months, the whole thing will be in memory. It will automatically get memorized, right? Every day if you chant, then moment it is got into memory, then whenever you have free time, even without your knowledge, your mind will be thinking about this, right? It will be in the subconsciously. It will keep running. That's what we need. And then at that time, then you will come up with new meanings for this. Like you'll be able to, the shlokas will directly talk to you without anyone in between. Like you don't need to depend on a commentary or a translation. Like you will get the new meanings out of the same shlokas by yourself, right? You will yourself discover meanings, new meanings, which are appropriate for the situation in your life where it is needed. So each one is a mantra, right? Each of these shlokas. So like you should have a personal relationship with each shloka, right? Then they will give you, and they will reveal you multiple layers of meanings. Each one is these are all words of Vyasa and Krishna, so they are really very potent, right? Fine. So we have been seeing the summary of the Gita. So I'm never tired of saying na anushochanti panditaha, right? So the core of the Gita is complete freedom from all sorrow, right? Through wisdom, through the right knowledge of who am I, right? And the rest of it, like karma yoga, dhyana yoga, right? They're all preparations, or they are all means to attain that. The main thing is the knowledge of the self. Who am I, right? That is the core of the whole thing. And that is what we saw in the last class, right? We saw uh, we approached this question, who am I, through multiple prakriyas, it is called, right? Like through multiple approaches. We saw the idea of what is consciousness, right? So I am in a dark room and I don't need an extra light to know me. So that is consciousness, right? That faculty or that light by which I know of my own existence. And then we saw the Panchakosha Viveka, whichever we saw at an individual level, we took it to at the universal level, right? So in the previous argument, when we talked about who am I as an individual, we looked at the Panchakosha at an individual level. And here we see that the Panchakosha is completely maps at the universal level also. In the 15th chapter, there's a very beautiful sequence of shlokas where Krishna does this. This is exactly what is there uh, from the 15th chapter, right? So he says, like, there's all this universe put together. The Annamaya Jagat comes from me, right? Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharayami Ahamojasa Pushnami. So that so he talks, and then he talks about the Pranamaya Kosha, Samashti Pranamaya Kosha, right? And then he talks about the Samashti Manomaya Kosha, Sarvasya Chaham Hridisanni Vishto Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. And then he talks about the Samashti Vijnanamaya Kosha, Vedesya Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krita Veda Videha Chaham, right? So, so these all things are in the 15th chapter. He talks about the Samashti five, the Kosha. Then when it comes to the Samashti Karna Sharira, he says Dvavimo Purusho Loke Ksharaschakshara Yevacha Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutastokshara Uchyate Uttama Purushastanya. Like, so he just, then he goes beyond this, what is there? Uttama Purushastanya, right? Paramatmeti Udahritah. So this whole sequence, this is based on the 15th chapter of the Gita, right? And so this whole argument, we saw how everything belongs to the universe and individuality is an illusion. This one statement you need to understand very clearly. This is what is knowledge. Individuality is an illusion at all levels. The universal alone is there. Individuality is purely a mental construct. Individuality is purely a mental uh, imagination, and it is there for practical purposes as a working model, right? We saw the example of the latitude and longitude, right? They're all imaginary lines, but then for transaction purposes we need them, right? So similarly, like me calling myself as Gokul Muthu, and he calling himself as Avik, and she calling herself as Uma, these are all just for convention, just for transaction purposes. Beyond that, the individuality is not real. Individuality is not real. Individuality is a mental construct only. In reality, only the universal is, right? This knowledge, this is what is the knowledge, right? This, if you understand, then the rest of it is very easy. Okay. Now, this one you should understand personally, right? So that it affects your behavior and attitude. Whatever knowledge you gain here, ultimately you should absorb that, and it should affect a transformation in you. It should change your behavior and attitude. It is not merely intellectual knowledge, right? Then we saw what is adhyasa using this example, right? And then we discussed what is the meaning of Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. These are all technical terms. Brahma means substratum, beyond which is underlying this entire universe. Satyam means there is real. Jagat means the superimposition, whatever we experience using our senses and mind, this universe, that is what is Jagat, and that is Mithya. It's a superimposition. So Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya means the universe is a superimposition on the unmanifest substratum, which is real. Right? We saw this, and then we saw this beautiful argument, right, of how Sat equal to Chit. So once we understand that the ultimate substance is Nirguna, and by Drigdrishya Viveka, we also understand that the ultimate subject is also Nirguna, right? My essential nature is the pure subject, which can never become an object. The object is this universe, and I am the subject. So at any transaction, I draw a boundary between the subject and the object. Now that boundary, depending upon the context, I draw, and so now I can draw at various levels. For example, like, a person comes to you, and then he says, while coming on the way, one auto driver hit me. Then he say, oh, is it you? Did you get hurt? You say, like, no, no, no. There is just a small scratch on the car. This guy has been driving a car, and one auto guy hit the car. But the way he tells is, oh, an auto driver hit me. I got hit by an auto. So here he says, I got hit by an auto. That I is actually the car. So the identity, right? The the subject object boundary is very, very flexible, right? So sometimes we even include the car as a subject. The subject object boundary lies between the car and the auto, right? That is the amount of attachment we have to various objects, which is fine. Depending on the context, the subject object boundary will be there. But what we need to understand is, okay, can we step back, step back, step back, keep rejecting everything which is an object? Anything that can be an object of our perception or conception should be rejected as an object that is not I. This process is called neti neti. Not this, not this. What do you mean by not this? This is not me. This is an object. So rejecting every object, we arrive at the ultimate subject, which can never become an object, and that is the real I. Right? Now, this I is never an object. The Gita uses a very beautiful word called aprameya. Right? It is not an object of any pramana. There is aprameya. So aprameya is I. I am aprameya. This I, as pure consciousness, which can never become an object of any conception or perception. Now, this I is nirguna. We saw, we proved. And moment we have proved this I is nirguna, and we have already proved that the substratum of this universe is nirguna. So I and Brahman are the same. This is what is called as Aham Brahmasmi. Sat equal to Chit. Sat is Brahman, Chit is Atman, Aham, Aham Brahma Asmi. Right? So we saw how this is true. Right? It's all simple logic, no complicated PhD level concepts. You don't need to remember too many things also. Very, very simple logic. We can easily prove that Aham Brahmasmi. Right? That is the truth. Truth is always very easy. Right? Truth is always simple. And the problem is the truth is so simple that we always overlook it. Right? Ramana Maharshi says Atma Vidya Vidyam Ati Sulabham. Right? It's the simplest knowledge. It is so simple that we always overlook it. We expect something very, very complicated which we will not understand. No. Atma Vidya is very, very simple, which each of us can easily understand. And that is the beauty of it, right? It is so easy to understand that we cannot believe that it is so simple, right? This is the meaning of this word, Aham Brahmasmi. Now, once you have understood clearly, right, that this is the meaning, then what are the implications of it, right? What are the implication? We saw the example of the father going with the son to watch a movie, and we saw the example of the movie, right, 2012, where the screen doesn't get affected by the movie. Whatever appears on the movie, the screen will never get affected. There's a beautiful Gita shloka also on that, right? Water cannot wet it. So here basically all the four uh, the four elements, right? The water, fire, wind, and weapon. Weapon is basically like for earth. So none of them can affect the Atman, right? So when none of them can affect the Atman, now Atman is unaffected by anything, everything. So that is why we say na anushochanti panditaha. When you know the panditaha is a person who knows I am the Atman, I am the screen, right? And my level of reality is higher than the reality of this world, right? I am Satya, whereas this whole universe is a superimposition. It is Mithya. Now, a Mithya Vastu cannot affect the Satya Vastu. A Mithya Vastu cannot affect the Satya Vastu. I am Satya Vastu. This universe is Mithya Vastu. So, I cannot be affected by anything that happens in this universe. So, na anushochanti panditaha. Right? This is how I am completely free from all afflictions, all sorrow. Nothing can happen to me. Now, what is the Jnana Yoga? How do you go? It's a two-step process. The first step is Vishwa Rupa Ishvara Darshanam, right? Considering this universe as the Lord. And then the second step is Aham Brahmasmi or Brahma Jnanam, Atma Jnanam. Right? There's a two-step process. And the first step is a prerequisite for the second step. Now, we cannot directly go and get the knowledge of Aham Brahmasmi. First, you have to get the knowledge of Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam. Now, this is so. What do you mean Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam? This whole universe is nothing but Brahman. Ishvara, I already started using the word, though we are going to define Ishvara here only. So, Ishvara is that person who identifies himself with this entire universe, right? Now, we say I identify myself like with this body, even though this body has got trillions of cells, which are each one is a separate living being by its own. But then I say I, right? Similarly, Ishvara is that person who, when he says I, he means this entire universe, right? Ishvara is that person, that supreme being, who, when he says I, he means this whole universe, everything that exists, all the living beings, all this entire universe, all the this, all the various galaxies and solar systems and all the living beings, everything put together, who considers himself as that person is Ishvara, right? So we call it Saguna Brahman, right? He is everything. The sum totality of everything that exists, the consciousness associated with that is called Ishvara. That's a definition for Ishvara. Okay. And that Ishvara is everything. Now, this having this idea is called Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam, right? This is a Bahuviri Samasa. Vishwam Yasya Rupaha Saha Vishwarupa Ishvaraha. Okay. So the whose form is this entire world, right? Vishwam Yasya Rupaha Saha Vishwarupa Ishvaraha. Now, this Vishwarupa Ishvara, this idea, unless you first consider this entire universe as Vishwarupa, you cannot go further for Atmajnana. Now, this is what is depicted in the very, very popular Puranic story, right? Once Narada brought one fruit to Kailasha, Jnana Phalam, right? Now, this is the fruit of knowledge. And he gave it, and then he told Shiva, I thought instead of me eating it, I thought I will give it to you, it will be more useful. Now Shiva said, like any good husband, a good thing he gets, he gives it to his wife. So he gave it to Parvati and said, Parvati, Narada has brought this nice fruit. I think you will enjoy it. Please take it. And Parvati, like any good mother, she took it and she wanted to give it to her children. And she said, let my children, Ganesha and Kartikeya, let them have the fruit instead of me. And she wanted to give it. And the two children, Ganesha and Kartikeya. So she said, let me cut the fruit. And immediately Narada said, no, 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 no. This fruit cannot be cut. This is Jnana Phalam, right? Half knowledge is dangerous. Knowledge should always be in full, right? Half knowledge is not useful at all, right? So this has to be get taken by fully only. You cannot cut it. And we all know the story of Thiruvalayadal, right? Like the famous movie where this whole thing is very, very beautifully depicted. Now, so now both of them, Ganesha and Kartikeya, both of them, I want the fruit, I want the fruit. Now, then they said, okay, let us keep a competition. Like one of them only the fruit has to be given. So then the competition is who goes around this entire universe and comes first, he will be given the fruit, right? So Ganesha and Kartikeya and wanted to go. Now Kartikeya, very thin, very thin person, less weight, and his Vahana is also the peacock, which can very swiftly go and fly also. So he immediately got onto his peacock and started for the going around this universe. Now Ganesha, very, very bulky person, bulky body, and his Vahana is a poor mouse. And he thought there should be an alternative way. So he thought, and then he, sorry. So he thought, what is this? Ammayappan is here. Shiva and Shakti are here. When Shiva and Shakti are here, Now, they are the cause of this universe, right? They are the cause of this universe. We see here material cause, instrumental cause, utility cause, right? The Sachidananda, they are the entire cause of this entire universe. So, going around the cause is equivalent to going around the effect. So, going around Shiva and Shakti with reverence, acknowledging them as the cause of this universe, acknowledging them as the Ishvara, is going around equivalent to going around this universe itself. They ask the entire Sabha. Everyone says yes. Narada says yes. Shiva says yes. Parvati says yes, because that is the truth. Then Ganesha went around Shiva and Parvati and bowed down to them and got the fruit. Now, when Kartikeya went around the universe on his peacock, he came. He was very, very confident that he will win the competition. When he saw that the fruit was already, the competition was over, the winner has already been declared, and fruit has been already given to Ganesha, he became very upset. So now this Jnana Phalam, to get the Jnana Phalam, what is the test given? What test you have to pass? You have to pass the test that you have to acknowledge that this universe is not different from Ishvara. Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam is the prerequisite for Jnana Phalam, for Atma Jnana. This is what this story is meant to teach, right? So, Vishwarupa Ishvara is the most important concept next only to Atmajnanam. Atmajnanam is the final concept which we need to understand. And the next, before that, what we need to understand is Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam. So we'll spend some time understanding that. Now, Vishwarupa Ishvara is the idea, and that the first is Nama in Vishnu Sahasranama itself says Vishwam, Vishwam, Vishnu Vashatkaram, right? So Vishwam is the first Nama of Vishnu, right? So Vishwam and Vishnu, Vishwam and the Ishvara are not different, right? We also see in Narayana Suktam, right? Yetchakinchit Jagat Sarvam Drishyate Shruyate Piva Antarbahishchatat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Stitaha, right? So this entire universe is nothing but the Lord, right? Isavashyam idam sarvam yatkinche jagatyam jagat, the Upanishad says, right? So this identity of this universe with Ishvara is a very, very important idea that we should completely absorb it, right? It's not just a theory. Like we should completely, it should be a part of our mental model which we use for the our daily day-to-day operations. Now, up to this, we saw in the last class, right? Now, what do you mean by Vishwarupa Ishvara? What do you mean by Ishvara is everything? So we have this Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti is the what is called as microcosm, the individual level. Samashti is the universal level. At the Vyashti level, we have this gross body. We saw Sthula Sharira. Now, all the Sthula Sharira of all living beings, plus, of course, all the non-sentient, insentient physical universe, everything put together is called Sthula Prapancham, the gross world. Okay. And similarly, we have the Sukshma Sharira, right? Sukshma Sharira, we should understand, is Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha put together is called Sukshma Sharira. Annamaya Kosha is Sthula Sharira, right? So now the Sukshma Shariram of all Jivarashis, of all living beings put together is called Sukshma Prapancham. Okay. Now, similarly, the causal body, the Karana Shariram of all the Jivatmas put together is called the causal world or Karana Prapancham. Okay. Now, at the beyond the three bodies, which means beyond the five koshas, there is no distinction. So here, as pure consciousness, Atman at the individual level equal to Brahman at the universal level. So Atman equal to Brahman because there are no upadis. These are called upadis. There are no differentiating factors. We saw, right? It is nirguna. So once it is nirguna, Atman equal to Brahman. So the universal and the individual and the universal, there is no difference at this level when there is no the properties, right? When there are all the properties end with this three prapanchas, right? With the three worlds, with the three bodies. Beyond that, there is no guna, it is nirguna. And because it is nirguna, nirguna Atman and nirguna Brahman are identical. There is no difference at all. Now, this consciousness gets reflected at the individual level, right? These are all technical terms, prajna, taijasha, vishwa. So when the consciousness gets reflected in the causal body, it is called prajna. When it gets reflected in the subtle body, it is called taijasa. When it gets reflected in the gross body, it is called vishwa. This is what is, these are all topics discussed in the Mandukya Upanishad, right? Now, the same thing, this pure consciousness, when it gets reflected in the causal world, it is called antaryami. And when it gets reflected in the sukshma prapancha, it is called as hiranyagarbha. When it gets reflected in the stula prapancha, it is called virat. Now, this put together is what is called as jiva, and this put together is what is called as Ishvara. Okay. So, Ishvara, like we said, Ishvara is the sum total of all that exists. Now, even at the individual body level, the corresponding, there is this prapancha which is there. And this is called as the Virat Purusha, the whole universe, right? The personification of the whole universe as Ishvara, that is called Virat Purusha, this whole universe. And Hiranyagarbha is the technical term for Brahmaji, the Chaturmukha Brahma whom we see in the Puranas. He is basically that is the personification of Hiranyagarbha. And Antaryami is the personification, as Antaryami depicted in the Puranas is what is the Shesha Sayana Vishnu, right? Vishnu lying on the Adishesha, right? And in the cosmic waters of Kshirashagara, and from his Nabhi comes Hiranyagarbha, Brahmaji, and Brahmaji does the Shrishti of this universe. This is what is depicted in that picture, right? And Maya is Lakshmi, who is serving the Ishvara. Now, Maya, which is at the universal level, is what is Avidya at the individual level, right? Avidya basically means ignorance of our nature as pure consciousness. When we think out of Avidya, we think we are an individual, right? We think we are the Karana Sharira, and from there starts the sequence here, right? So this is the idea of Ishvara, the universal, right? And so for the Jiva, you have body, life, mind, intellect, right? The lower two bodies or the four koshas. And for the Ishvara, the same thing is the universe, right? This is how the relationship is. Now, to understand still more, like there is a very nice, very great teacher, Swami Tadatmananda, right? He is in Arshabodha Center in Berkeley. Lot of YouTube videos are there. There's a very beautiful book on meditation by him, right? That's the best book on meditation which I have come across is by Swami Tadatmananda. Now, in one of his YouTube videos, he has this picture which is very, very beautiful. It depicts this whole thing very beautifully, right? So there is sun and there are these buckets, and the bucket has water, and the sunlight is reflected on the water. Now, this is an example which is already given in the scriptures, but he has made a nice picture out of it. He has got this picture drawn. And so this bucket is the Stula Sharira. The water in the bucket is the Sukshma Sharira. And the reflection of the sun is the Karana Sharira. And the sun is the pure consciousness beyond the Upadis, beyond the three Shariras, which is pure consciousness. Right? The sun is the consciousness or supreme being, and the reflection is the individual, and the water is the Sukshma Sharira, the bucket is the body. So what happens when one bucket becomes old and dilapidated? Then that water is poured onto another new bucket. That is what is the rebirth, right? Gita 15th chapter talks about it very clearly, how the jiva goes from one body to another body. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bunjanam va gunan. Right? So goes from one body to another body, and it continues, right? So the Sukshma Sharira continues in the next body. There is one difference between this example and reality. In this example, right, like it is as if the bucket and the water are the karana for the reflection, but in reality, it's the other way around, right? There's a limitation of this example because in reality, the reflection exists, right, as a spark of the divine, right? Krishna says, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, right? So the Jiva is Sanatana, like Mamaiva Amsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. So the spark of the divine is the cause, that is a karana, and the bucket and the water, they come after that. But in the example, it's the other way around. So there is a limitation of the example we should remember, so that here in reality, the spark comes first and the water and the bucket come later. Okay, this is the karana, that is the karya. So otherwise, this example is very, very beautiful. Now I want to give a slight exposure to how these kind of ideas, these kind of concepts are there in our scriptures. Okay. Now this is a paragraph from Tattva Bodha, the ninth paragraph, ninth Anuvaka from Tattva Bodha, written by Adi Shankaracharya, where whatever we have been discussing so far is comes from here. Like it is described by Shankaracharya. Like, you can see that it is very, very simple Sanskrit, right? Very, very clearly given, right? And even with basic knowledge of Sanskrit, you'll be able to easily understand it once you know the basic concepts, right? So he says Stula Sharira Abhimani. Abhimani means one who considers himself as. So Stula Sharira Abhimani means one who considers himself as the Stula Sharira. Jiva Namakam, like in the name of Jiva, Brahma Pratibhimbam, as a reflection of Brahman, Bhavati, happens, right? So Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati is a reflection of pure consciousness, and in the name of Jiva, Jiva Namakam, and he considers himself as a Stula Sharira. Okay, Stula Sharira Abhimani. Sa eva jivaha prakritya swasmat ishwaram bhinnatvena janati. He thinks because of this, he thinks he is different from the Ishvara. Right? Now, this is a very, very important statement. Avidya upadisan atma jiva iti uchyate, maya upadisan ishvara iti uchyate. Right? Avidya upadi. When the upadi, the adjunct of avidya, because of avidya, upadisan, atma, right? The individual, the consciousness, jiva iti uchyate, is called as jiva. Maya upadisan, when the upadi is maya, the universal level, Ishvara iti uchyate. Here actually the Atma is the same. Doesn't mention Atma. The same Atma is called Ishvara with the Maya Upadi. So there is one Atma, pure consciousness. With the Avidya Upadi, then it becomes an individual. It is called Jiva. With Maya as the Upadi, then it is a universal level. It is called Ishvara. So, Evam, thus, Upadi Bedat, because of the difference in the Upadi, Jiva Ishvara Beda Drishtihi Yavat Paryantam Tishtati. So Jiva Ishvara Beda Drishti, the perception of Jiva and Ishvara being different. Right? The Jiva Ishvara Beda Drishti, right? Why is it coming? Because of Upadi. Upadi Bedat. Right? Yavat Paryantam Tishtati. As long as it is there, Tavat Paryantam, till then, Janma Maranadi Rupa Samsaraha Na Nivartate. So, as long as this Jiva Ishvara Beda Drishti is there, he says, Janma Marana Adi. So, Janma, Marana, Jara, Vyadi, right? All these things, right? Birth, Marana, death, Vyadi, disease, right? All these changes, right? The 6 changes which we see, right? So, all these changes will, that is what is called as Rupa Samsara, right? Samsara in the form of Janma, Marana, Adi, right? Janma, Marana, etc. This samsara na nivartate, will not go. You will not be free from the samsara as long as you have this Veda Drishti between Ishvara and Jiva because of Upadi Vedat. Tasmat, so Tasmat Karanat na, right? Tasmat Karanat na. That is how we have to split this, right? Tasmat Karanat na Jiva Ishvara Yoho Veda buddhihi svikarya. So tasmat karanan, because of this reason, right? Because as long as it is there, you will not be free from samsara. So tasmat karanat na means don't, jiva ishvara veda buddhihi svikaryaha. Don't hold on to, right? Don't take this veda buddhi between jiva and ishvara, right? So this is how Tattva is. Very, very beautiful text, right? Very, very clearly written, systematically dealt with, right? This is one of the Prakriya Grantha, the primers of Vedanta, written by Adi Shankaracharya, and whatever is there in Tattva itself is enough for the complete Atma Jnana and Sadhana, everything, right? It's a complete book. So anyway, so this gives you a taste of how Vedanta is, the texts are, right? So what we need to understand here, this is a very, very important analogy to understand what is the relationship between Atma, Jiva, and Ishvara, right? Atma, Ishvara, and Jiva. What is the relationship? The relationship is water, ocean, and wave. What is so? As long as we think we are an individual, we are like a wave, right? As long as we think we are an individual, we are like the wave. And Ishvara is the ocean. Ishvara is that supreme being, like sum total of all that exists together. He is Ishvara. We think we are an individual wave, and Ishvara is the ocean. So we arise in the ocean, we exist in the ocean, and we go dissolve back into the ocean. The wave comes from the ocean, exists in the ocean, and dissolves back into the ocean. There is no time when the wave can be different from the ocean, right? So that is a condition of the jiva. The jiva arises from Ishvara, exists in Ishvara, and dissolves back into Ishvara. So jiva and Ishvara, that is a relationship. The individual and the whole, right? The anga and the angi, right? Now, Atman, pure consciousness, is the water, right? Now, the ocean is also made of water, the wave is also made of water, right? If the wave considers from the drishti of the individual wave, then the wave is the individual and Ishvara is the whole. But if the wave looks at it from the drishti of water, the wave says, I am water, then there is no difference between the ocean and the wave, right? There's no difference between Ishvara and Jiva from the point of view of water. From the point of view of water, there is no difference between Jiva and Ishvara, right? So that is what here we see, right? It is only because of the Upadhi difference that Jiva and Ishvara are considered as different, right? So Upadhi Bedat Jiva Ishvara Yoho Beda Drishtihi Bhavati, right? So this is the idea. This example is very, very important because often you will have this confusion. Okay, like if I am Atman, then am I Ishvara? No. If you are Atman, you are Atman, right? Jiva and Ishvara can never be the same, right? As long as the Veda Drishti is there. As pure consciousness, the when you say I, and when Shiva or Narayana says I, both you and Narayana mean the same consciousness. The I is the same. When I say I, when you say I, or when a dog says I, or when Narayana says I, the I is the same, pure consciousness. But the moment you put one step down to the Karna Sharira level, then the differences are there. The difference is not there only at the pure consciousness level. This you have to understand very, very clearly. So let us look at the shloka which we discussed. Aham Atma Gudakeshah Sarva Bhutashayastitah Aham Adischa Madhyamcha Bhutanam Antayevacha. Right? So the Lord says, I am the pure consciousness, the pure conscious self residing in the heart of all living beings. I am the beginning, middle, and end of all beings. So the first line talks about the consciousness. The second level talks about Ishvara as the Shrishtikarta, right? So the Ishvara as the innermost consciousness of all living beings, referred to as I, right, is talked about Aham Atma. And the second line, Aham Adischa Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Antayevacha, talks about Ishvara as the Shrishtikarta of this universe, as a material cause, right? Right? He is uh, the like the gold in ornaments, right? So all ornaments are made of the same gold, right? So even before the ornament comes, it was existing potentially in the gold, and when the gold ornament is there also, the ornament cannot be separated from gold. And even after that ornament is molted or is melted into a lump of gold, still the gold remains, but the ornament is gone. So the ornament is only a Nama Rupa, whereas gold alone is the Satya Vastu, right? The ornament is the superimposition on the gold. So similarly, this entire universe is a superimposition on Ishvara, on the Brahman. So this is what the second line talks about, right? So the second line is Vishwarupa Ishvara. The first line is Atma, right? Atma Jnanam is depicted. So Ishvara is both the consciousness and the universe, both, right? He is a consciousness in the heart of all living beings, and he is also the universe. So both aspects. First is the transcendent aspect. The second one is the immanent aspect, right? Ish Kadavul. Kada means transcendent, Vul means immanent. So Kadavul, the word means that person who is transcendent and immanent is called Kadavul. Right? Kada means the first line mentions Kada, second line is the meaning of the word Vul. So he is both transcendent and immanent in this entire universe. Now, this statement can be made by a Jnani also, right? Because a Jnani who identifies himself with pure consciousness, he also can make this statement, right? Fine. So, a quick knowledge check what we have been seeing in the last class and so far in this class. So, what is consciousness? Who am I? I am the ultimate subject, right? I am the light by which everything in this universe is known. What is adhyasa? Superimposition, right? It is a very, very important concept to understand this. And what does Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya mean? Brahman is the real substratum. This Jagat is a superimposition created by the senses and the mind. What does Aham Brahma Asmi mean? Aham is Chit, Brahma is Sat, Sat equal to Chit, right? I am the substratum of this universe. That is what it means. How can it be proved? So both are nirguna, right? How can it be proved that I, the consciousness, is substratum of the universe? You prove both of them as nirguna, then it becomes proved. That's all. Very simple, right? You have to prove that Sat is also nirguna, Chit is also nirguna. Once you prove both are nirguna, then it is proved. What is the definition of Ishvara or God in Vedanta? The sum total of everything that exists. That person who identifies himself with this entire universe is called Ishvara. What is Advaita? Sat equal to Chit is what is Advaita. There's only pure consciousness, and everything else is a superimposition on this consciousness. That is Advaita. Can Jiva be the same as Ishvara? Never. Right? As long as Jiva thinks he is a Jiva, he is always different from Ishvara. Right? Only when the Jiva says, I am pure consciousness, then there is no difference between Jiva and Ishvara. At that time, the Jiva also is not there, right? As long as the Jiva is there, Ishvara is there. When the Jivatvam is gone by identification with pure consciousness, then Ishvaratvam is also gone. So both are gone. Only pure consciousness is there, right? As long as Jivatvam is there, Ishvaratvam will also be there. Jiva can never be the Ishvara, right? Only as pure consciousness, everything that exists is one, right? There should not be any confusion in this. Okay, fine. So this topic is over. So any before we proceed, we can take some questions. Yeah, I think Avik has turned on the microphone. Yes, Abhishek. Yeah.
So, what is the cause of the avidya and Maya?
Avidya is uncaused. Okay. So, avidya, okay. So, there are multiple ways of looking at it.
So,
See, avidya and Brahman cannot be separated. Avidya is a natural, it is ever existing along with Brahman. Okay. Now, we separate out avidya from Brahman only for the sake of understanding. Okay. Actually, avidya is never separate from Brahman. Shakti and Shiva can never be separated. Okay. Now, all these arguments saying this Panchakosha Viveka, we do this, and then finally we say, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. We reject it just to understand what is Brahman. Okay. There was, normally we always think in terms of time. So let us talk in terms of time. So we can say, there was never a time when avidya was not there. Okay. There was never a time, and there will be never a time avidya is not there. Now, the separation of avidya and Brahman is purely done intellectually. They can never be separate. You cannot say, okay, like yesterday, avidya, Brahman was there, avidya was not there, and today Brahman is there, avidya is there. Tomorrow Brahman is there, avidya is not there. We cannot say. Avidya is also eternal. Avidya is an integral part of Brahman. Okay, so avidya and Brahman can never be separated. This separation is only for understanding. When we have understood, we have to put them back and say, yes, now I have understood what is Brahman. Now we have to take it along with avidya. We cannot reject avidya. Avidya can never be rejected. Okay. And avidya and Brahman always coexist. Sri Ramakrishna says, like the fire and its power to burn, right? And Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. He says, like when you want to go to the terrace, you climb on the stairs. You say, put your leg on the first step. You say, no, this is not the terrace. Climb one more step. You say, no, not terrace has not yet been reached. Put one more step. No, not yet. One more step. So finally, when you reach the terrace, you say, okay, now this is the terrace. Fine. Now you look at the steps and then say the steps are also made of the same brick and cement, just like the terrace. So the terrace is not different from the steps. Now the steps, then initially you say, but why rejected the steps in the beginning? Yes, yes, you rejected the steps so that you can understand what is the terrace. But the moment the terrace is understood, now you have to bring it back. You have to reconcile everything together and understand that this steps is an integral part of this whole existence. Avidya is an integral part of this universe. Avidya is an integral part of this existence. And rejecting avidya is only done intellectually as a sadhana to so that we can understand what is Brahman. Okay. So don't think there was a point of time A, or let us say T1, when Brahman was there, avidya was there. At T2, Brahman is there and avidya is not there. And then there is T3 when Brahman is there and avidya is there. Right? It is not so. It is because time itself is relative only. Okay. This is only for understanding. You cannot separate Brahman from avidya. They always coexist.
Sorry, two follow-up questions. So
Hmm.
that means we cannot, like, then what is, if avidya is permanent,
Hmm.
like what is liberation then? If
Huh.
avidya is integral, it cannot be
Huh.
removed then also,
Yes.
right?
Liberation is knowing Brahman and Avidya together, saying this is Brahman, this is Avidya. Knowing that is liberation. You cannot separate it. But knowing it is what is liberation.
So in the third question,
Hmm.
then liberation, we don't we are merged. We don't have any individuality left after
Huh. So
after liberation.
knowing
The,
that your individuality is not real is liberation. Knowing that your individuality is only a mental construct, your individuality is not real, that is called liberation.
Then what we are not born again means where we go then?
No,
What
you
is
are
our
never born.
state?
No, you are never born. Birth and death itself is a misunderstanding. You are currently in a state of misunderstanding. Clearing your misunderstanding is what is called as moksha, right?
So we'll not have a body then. What we'll
You
have
don't
then?
have a body
Moksha.
at all. Even now, you don't have a body. See, even now, you are liberated. You are the Satya Vastu. You are pure consciousness. Even now, only thing is you don't know it. Understood? You don't know it now. Getting that knowledge is what is mukti, liberation.
Okay. Thank you.
Liberation is freedom from a misunderstanding. Freedom from misunderstanding is what is liberation,
So
right?
then birth, death, everything is unreal. What
They are
you are
all
saying.
unreal. Knowing
We
them
are
as
not
unreal,
born, we are not die.
you are
Right.
never born, you are never die. But currently, you are under misunderstanding that you are born, you are dying, because you are identifying yourself either with the stula sharira, which means you say, okay, I died, and after death, I just completely go away. Or you say you identify yourself with karana sharira, where I say I go through punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, because of identification with the karana sharira. Okay. Now, what is liberation is you drop your identification with the Karna Sharira and you hold on to your identification as pure consciousness. Then, when you are identifying yourself as pure consciousness, then you find that this entire universe is the one which goes through all these changes. I am changeless. I am a unchanging witness of all that change which is happening in this universe. I am the screen. This universe is a projection on top of me. I am not this Karna Sharira. This Karna Sharira is a projection on top of me. Right? This knowledge will give you liberation. Means what? The intrinsic liberation. You are already immortal. So your immortal nature is made known to you by this knowledge, and that is how you get liberated. There is no, it is not that that you don't have before and now you have. No, right? It is not. That's what like Anand Maharaj keeps saying. No, it is not a prapya vastu, right? So because it is already attained, right? It's a siddha vastu. So you just need to know that you already have it. Knowledge is the gap.
So
Thank you.
namaste. Namaste. So there is a conception that a Jivan Mukta will never again take a birth. Okay, so that is what people say. Is it something notional? I mean, the moment you become a Jivan Mukta, even if the body comes, he is aware that he is not the body. So that is what is a conception. But,
See,
body will be coming and going. Is it the
see,
truth?
see. Thing is, these are all preliminary concepts. Okay, at the level where I showed you two levels, right? First
Mm,
level is you identify yourself as the Karna Sharira, as the Jivatma, and then you work out, right? Like you work out and then you become a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari, right? Or
mm,
in the words of
mm,
Gita, you become a yoga ruda. Then you are
mm,
qualified to for jnana yoga.
mm,
Till you
mm,
reach that level, all
mm.
these ideas, all these concepts, everything will be there.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
these are all to encouraged for all at that level.
Mm, 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 mm,
When the moment you get introduced to I am pure consciousness,
mm,
then
mm,
what is body, what is individuality, who is the Jivan Mukta, who is this world, everything just vanishes off.
mm, mm.
All these ideas, these are all just ideas and notions. Okay. So
Okay.
they're all just at the preliminary level, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
Moment when you come to the next level, then you find that all these things are just concepts and like they really don't matter.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Bishuji?
Yeah, Jai Shri Ram Krishna Guru.
Yeah.
I have one question. You mentioned that Jiva and Ishvara are not the same. Then question is, what is the essence of having Ishvara when the very pure consciousness is there with both of them, and Jiva can directly because if you go to that example, water and ocean
Hmm.
and the wave, see
Hmm.
all of there, the water itself is present. Then what
Hmm.
is the essence of having these two segregations?
The segregation is in the Vyavaharika Jagat, right? See, at the level of pure consciousness, right? Now you are pure consciousness. There is no laptop. There is no this Google Meet. There is no this call. Like, there is no separate The laptop is not separate from you, right? And there is no difference between one jiva and another jiva. Everything is one universal, pure consciousness. At that level, there is no jiva. There is no Ishvara. The moment you come down one step, right, where you say, I am an individual, the moment you come one step, then Jiva is there, Ishvara is there, and Ishvara is the sum total of all things put together. The relationship is there. So you cannot deny this relationship, right? You have to accept the relationship. You have to reconcile this relationship, and you have to see how to live according to this relationship in the relative world. In the Paramarthika level, pure consciousness, everything is pure consciousness. There is no difference between Jiva and Ishvara as consciousness. But then as in the Vyavaharika level, right, Jiva is there, Ishvara is there, and they can never be different, same. So you have to have a working model of how do I live, right? How does it continue after Jivan Mukti also? Jiva and Ishvara will be separate, and the interaction will be there, right? Things don't change.
Okay. Yeah, basically the transactional level it is segregated. Okay.
Transactional level, Jiva and Ishvara are different. They can never be the same.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Right? So
So who is it that gets liberated then? Who, if mind is false, and then
so who is it that gets liberated? You can see what is the locus of this Atma Jnana. The locus of Atma Jnana obviously is the Karana Sharira only, right? The Karana Sharira, we saw the three things, right? Three things we saw, right? You have Punya, you have Samskara, and you have Jnana. So that is the locus of the liberation, right? Now, Atma never needs to get liberated because it is always pure consciousness. And the Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira and Stula Sharira, they are insentient materials. So if at all you say, like, what is the locus of Atma Jnana? It is the Jnana part of Karana Sharira. Okay.
so once it gets the jnana, it doesn't exist.
No, it will there. See, it's all a matter of identity. See, it's just a matter of just difference in identity. Nature exists as it is, right? Truth, there is no change, right? It is just a matter of, do you have the knowledge? Do you don't have the knowledge? If you have the knowledge, you are not anxious. If you don't have knowledge, you become anxious, right? See, it is like, um, when the child thinks, okay, earth is there and the sun goes round and round the earth. That is how you have sunrise, you have sunset, all these things are there. The child thinks. Then the child learns some geography, and then the geography class, they say, like, no, sun doesn't go around the earth rotates. Because of the earth's rotation, you have day and night, and because of earth's rotation, you have an apparent sunrise. Fine. So now the child has known, okay, the truth is that sun doesn't rise or set, the earth only rotates. Fine. So now the truth is known. Now next day, will there be a sunrise or not? Right? There will be a sunrise. The sunrise will be there. And just because now the child knows that sunrise and sunset are all illusions, and actually earth only rotates, now will the child continue to go to sleep with sunset and rise along with sunrise? Yes. All the everyday activities of the child will be still aligned with sunrise and sunset only. And the child will still watch a beautiful colors of the sunrise and colors of the sunset. So your experience doesn't change. And your behavior related to that experience also don't change, right? But you have the knowledge that sun doesn't rise, sun doesn't set, the earth only rotates, right? That knowledge is there. Now the question is, what is the use of this knowledge? Now, earlier, if the child had an anxiety, oh, what will happen if tomorrow the sun doesn't rise, right? Or what will happen if something is there? So those anxieties will vanish because the child knows, no, nothing will happen. Sun doesn't rise or set, it's only the earth which rotates, so nothing will happen. So what you become free from all anxiety, fear, right? And because once you know, like, this is what is the truth, now all your jealousy, arrogance, right, desire, lust, greed, everything will all just have slowly vanish away. As you keep absorbing this knowledge, all these negative qualities will vanish away. You will be kind, you will be honest, right? You will be loving, and like, it'll complete freedom from all sorrow, anxiety, and fear. That is what you will get. The world will
So,
run as it is there, right?
so
Everything
the
will be there.
Karana and Sthul Sharir will still be there. So then it will still continue taking
Ah,
the
they are
Sthul
all part of
Sharir. It
they are all part of
it
the
will still
universe.
take, like, I will
Ah,
still be reborn, but
not you, not you.
uh,
Your identity is shifted.
identity is shifted by, but my Sthul or my Sukshma Sharir is
No,
still
no, oh, no. Who's Sukushara? What do you mean by my? When that I itself is gone, what do you mean by my Sukshma Sharira?
the,
It is all
the,
part of
s-
Prakriti.
the
See,
Sukshma Sharira is
no,
what
no,
has
no.
got the knowledge,
Listen,
right?
listen. That is why I gave you the full description of individuality is a illusion. Individuality is a pure mental construct. There is no individuality. Unless you understand that, you cannot answer your question. Individuality, I showed you logically that individuality is an illusion. There is nothing called individuality. Individuality is a fiction. It's just a pure mental construct. Individuality doesn't exist. So there is no question of my at all. The word my itself is gone. Doesn't have any meaning now. You see that?
Yeah.
Individuality doesn't exist. Only this whole universe exists, right? This universe exists as a whole, as an entire physical universe. This universe of life, universe of mind, universe of intellect, universe of the Karana Prapancha, they are all there. Individuality is a misconception. Individuality does not exist.
But the knowledge which is gained, right, is the Sukshma Sharira, which, as you told, that the Atman
See
Lokas is
the,
the
it, but the I
Sukshma
is
Sharira.
gone. See, the I is gone. It is just one Sukshma Sharira gets the knowledge. There is no I there. When you say I, you are pure consciousness.
So what happens to the Sukshma Sharira after that? Is it
Like
doesn't
so.
exist now after
Who
that,
cares?
or
First thing is, who cares? Because the moment, if it is not me, who cares? I am pure consciousness, right? This whole universe just continues, right? As per Ishvara's wish. That's all. Now, Ishvara is there, and as per Ishvara's wish, everything continues. So, thing is, no point in talking too much about it. Okay. What I would say is, you get the knowledge and you answer your questions yourself. That is easier than asking someone else and trying to, and don't try to understand intellectually. Don't try to break your head. Okay. Don't, it is a waste of time. You do sadhana and get the knowledge. You get the knowledge, you will know everything yourself. Because it is no point in trying to intellectually break your head over it.
okay? Thank you.
Go for sadhana, right? Do your sadhana and get it yourself. Yes, madam.
Yes, Gokulji. So the locus of the ignorance is in Brahman, right?
Locus of ignorance.
Avidya is in Brahman. I'm saying
No. See, it is a big debate which is constantly there. Okay. Now, I will give you an example. Okay. The example. Suppose, let us say, let us say Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore wrote one beautiful novel. Let us say he writes a drama. In the drama, there are 5 characters. There is one character, a father, a mother, and a neighbor, 2 children. He writes a drama. Each one has dialogues. Each one has their own characteristics. Let us say the father is a very, very noble person. He is a great philanthropist. He is a very knowledgeable person. Let us say the son is a very vagabond, right? He is a drunkard, like he's, roaming around. He doesn't know anything. He's stupid. And so now, tell me, what is the locus of the stupidity of the son, right? Is it in Rabindranath Tagore? Because he only created. See, the dialogues for the son. Who writes the dialogues for the son? Tagore wrote the dialogue for the son.
yes.
So can you say that the stupidity of the sun, locus of the stupidity of the sun is in Tagore?
There is no locus at all for that.
It's just a character.
Mhm.
It is just a character in a drama.
Mhm.
The character has been created by Rabindranath Tagore as a stupid character. The character of the father has been created by Tagore as an intelligent character. Understood? So where
Yes.
is the locus of this intelligence? Where is the locus of the stupidity? In that character. That is what is called as Karana Sharira.
Okay.
You cannot put it on Isvara. You cannot put it on Tagore. Because if Tagore is stupid, he cannot write the drama itself.
Mm.
Right? Tagore is Isvara. Isvara has created this entire Srishti. He has created one character as intelligent, another character as stupid, one person as a jnani, another person as a ajnani, one person as a thief, another person as a police. The whole thing is a big drama, authored and scripted by Ishvara. Completely authored and scripted, right? So you just have to watch the drama. The only utility of the drama is entertainment and education, right? What is the utility of watching a movie? Entertainment and education. Only two utilities. This world also only two utilities: entertainment and education, right? And even entertainment is a secondary utility. Education is a primary utility, right? The utility of this universe is education. Understand this whole drama, see this whole drama, and like that's all. Like, so this whole thing is a big drama. That is what you need to understand.
Okay. But somehow, Gokulji, I feel I was, when you were explaining, I felt that even the Brahman is a Satyam and the Avidya is like always coexisting, or Maya,
Yes,
whatever they
yes,
call, always
yes,
coexisting. So it is not that it just happens more
huh,
than it's being crafted. This
yes,
whole thing just happens, which is
yes,
different
yes.
from exactly putting. And
Huh,
in the plane of this karma, all of this determine and this whole thing runs.
huh.
And when that jnanam is attained, that ignorance is gone, so no longer that is even valid. I mean, you know that
Perfect,
it is a
perfect.
right.
You
So
know the whole
it's
thing is a
not a
drama. That's all.
crafted thing.
Huh.
So there is ignorance, and it's just a two part of the ignorance. One, like you said, when jnanam is attained, you know that due to ignorance this happens. The
Hmm.
other one, you don't know that it
See,
happens. You are caught up in samsara, which itself is not real, right? That's how you
huh.
put it.
See, that's all. See, basically there is this Maya has got two Shaktis, Avarana Shakti with Vikshepa Shakti, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Avarana Shakti is the Shakti to hide the truth from
Yes.
individuals.
Yes.
Vikshepa Shakti is this diverse universe comes out of Vikshepa Shakti.
Projection. Yes.
Projection. So just that by the grace of Ishvara, the Ishvara decides, okay, from this Jiva, I will slightly remove the Avarana, and that person slightly gets some knowledge. That's all. Right? By his grace, by his will, some Jiva will have this wheel removed slightly, and you will see the truth. Right? So it's whole thing, look at it from this perspective. And as you said, like the Upanishad says, this entire universe is a spontaneous expression of the joy of Ishvara. This entire universe is a spontaneous expression of the joy of Ishvara. Right? So
Mhm.
that is how this universe is. Like, you can never separate the universe from Ishvara. All the intellectual separation you do, neti, this, that, and all, is as a sadhana. So that you can understand what is Satya Vastu and what is Mithya Vastu. But the moment you have understood Satya and Mithya, the Mithya Vastu will always be there. You cannot turn off the Mithya Vastu.
Yes.
It will be there. But now, because you know that this is Satya, this is Mithya, you will not be confused. Okay.
Okay.
So Ishvara and Maya will always be there. Okay.
So
So they are
is it
inseparable.
okay? So isn't it then I can say that ignorance or the Avarana Shakti and both of them are actually in Brahman, right? That locus,
Yes,
and what is
yes.
just removed is just the Avarana Shakti is removed, whose
Of
locus is
a
also in
particular.
Brahman. Of that particular,
No.
but
Of a Avarana Shakti is, see, at the Brahman level, Ishvara always knows what is the truth. He doesn't have any confusion.
Yes,
Ishvara
yes.
doesn't have any confusion. He is always a Jnani only.
Okay.
Just that one Jiva has, the knowledge has been hidden from one Jiva by Ishvara. And the knowledge is slightly revealed to that Jiva by Ishvara.
The avaranam that was covering for that Karana Shariram is removed. One
For that particular
Karana
Karana.
Shariram.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Gokul,
Yes.
my question is then if everything is drama, then is there a free will?
No
Of
free will.
of Karna Sharira, of like you said, like okay, you have these the tendencies, all that you explained. So what is the free will in this?
No. That's what. You should not mix up the levels. In reality, at this level, there is no free will. In reality, at the final level, there is no free will. Everything happens by the will of Ishvara. Period. Okay. But we cannot accept
what is karma at this level? Karma.
At this level, all those things don't exist. All those things. The law is there. The universe keeps running based on the laws as defined by Ishvara. This world is running. That's it. Right? There are no individuals. See, when there are no individuals, then where is whose karma? I told you the individuality itself is a illusion. So when individuality is gone, then all this free will, karma, all those things don't exist. Right? When individuality doesn't exist, like free will cannot exist.
Okay.
So only, see, basically, like currently we are in a state where we are so strongly, we are identifying with the Sthula Sharira, with the Sukshma Sharira. So we have to start from where we are. So to do that, we say, okay, fine. This Panchakosha is there, which you can easily understand. So now holding on to the Karana Sharira, holding on to your free will, you discard your Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Right? That is the purpose of that. Now, moment you have done that successfully to a large extent, now you go further and you have to drop your identification with the Karana Sharira also. The individuality also has to be dropped. Now, to drop the individuality, you have to drop free will. That is the next level of sadhana. So, assuming free will and dropping free will, these are all part of sadhana. So, initially, you have to start with assuming free will of karma. I have to build up my samskara. I have to build up my punya. Right? Because as long as you have free will, you have to work at that level. And you work. When you have worked at that level, then you will mature enough sufficiently. And then you come to the next level where the ultimate knowledge is revealed to you. And at that level, all individuality will drop and everything will just go away. You will not be bothered about it. World will keep running, but you are not bothered about it. Right? Is that clear? So after knowing the truth, I am pure consciousness alone is real. This entire universe is a superimposition. You have to reconcile back. Yes, this universe is a superimposition. And nevertheless, this universe, all these things put together is what is Ishvara. And I cannot keep always, I cannot be at the level of pure consciousness. Like the mind has to operate at multiple levels.
But how do you behave in the world? You still have to do karma. You still have to, you still will have.
We'll come to that. We'll come to the different levels. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good. So now let us proceed further. And when we, yes, so Seturamanji, like, so I think I already answered Abba's question, right? So basically this universe is always like the Maya is always there. It is an integral part of Ishvara, right? Integral part of Brahman. You cannot separate. Separation is only as sadhana. That's what you need to understand. The separation between Maya and Brahman is as sadhana. Once you have understood this is Brahman, this is Maya, you cannot reject Maya after that. Right? You have to take Maya along. Okay. So let me proceed. Okay. So the next shloka which we will see, right, by which we will understand Ishvara still better. Right? Now we'll chant, you can repeat. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim richati. So, bhoktaram yajna tapasam. So, whatever activity we do is divided into two types of actions, yajna and tapas. Whatever we do outside is yajna, and whatever we do inside is tapas. Right? Suppose, let us say, like you are walking on the road and there is one person, one stranger comes and says, "Sir, what is the way to go to the metro station?" Now you tell him, you go this way, you take a left, and then you go straight, then you take a right, and you will see the metro station. Now this is a yajna. This is an external action. This is a yajna. Or you say, today is Ekadasi, I will do fasting. That is an tapasya. It is an internal activity. So all actions are classified into two, external and internal, yajna and tapasya. And the Lord says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. I am the bhokta of all yajna and tapasya. Right? Every action you do, I am the recipient. I am the bhokta. You feed one poor person, he says, I am the bhokta. You help one neighbor, he says, I am the bhokta. You throw a stone on a dog, I am the bhokta. You are throwing stone on me. Right? So he is the bhokta of every action, and he is the external and internal. You say, from today onwards, I will speak only the truth. I will not become angry. Like, he is the recipient of that also, of that internal action also, the tapasya also. Right? So all yajna and tapasya, he says, I am the enjoyer because I am the one sitting in the heart of all living beings, including you and others also. And I am the one who is the ultimate recipient, ultimate bhokta of all actions of everyone. Right? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Right? Then he says, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. I am the Lord of all the worlds. So here Sarvaloka means we saw the three lokas, right? Stula Prapancham, Sukshma Prapancham, Karna Prapancham. So that is what is meant by Sarvaloka here. All the lokas at all levels, he says, I am the Ishvara, I am the Lord. Right? Everything is under my control. Everything happens by my will only. There is nothing which happens beyond my will. Right? Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Everything happens by my will only. Then Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the friend of all living beings. Suhridam means I am the well-wisher. I am the well-wisher of all living beings. Now the question is, what is his wish? His wish is spiritual development. Right? His wish is spiritual development. He is the well-wisher of all living beings. Right? He wishes spiritual development for all living beings, and so he is the well-wisher, and according to that, he will bless everyone with whatever is needed. Jnatva mam shantim richati. When a person knows God with these three aspects, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. When you know that these three aspects of Ishvara, there is no reason for you to have any anxiety or worry, because the Lord is there. He knows everything. He is capable of everything. He is my well-wisher. What should I worry about? So you can be at peace. So this is the personal aspect of Ishvara. So we saw in the last shloka, we saw the impersonal aspect of Ishvara, right? Ishvara as pure consciousness and Ishvara as the Shrishtikarta. Now this one is a personal aspect, which is also true. This is Ishvara exists. Ishvar Satya hai. Ishvara exists. This entire universe has Isvara, and that Isvara knows everything. He is omniscient, right? He is the Bhoktaram Yagnitapasam, means he is omniscient. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram means he is omnipotent. And Suhridam Sarvabhutana means he is compassionate. So this omniscient, omnipotent, and compassionate Ishvara exists. He is true, right? And you can transact with him, you can interact with him. Him is just a placeholder. That Ishvara you can transact with, and he is real. He is Satyavastu, right? Now, how to approach him, how to have a personal relationship with him. So, in the Bhagavatam, Navavida Bhakti is given. So, we saw in the Gita that Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he is omnipotent, he is omniscient, right? Bhoktaram Yagnitapasam, and he is compassionate, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. So, based on these three, in Bhagavatam, Prahalada Maharaj, he gives Navavida Bhakti. So, where the first one, the omnipotent aspect is divided into three steps first, because that is the first thing which we can accept. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnor, Smaranam, Padasevanam, right? That is how that shloka goes. So, Shravanam is hearing his glories, Kirtanam is singing his glories, Smaranam is remembering his glories. These three in sequence are the sadhanas to acknowledge the omnipotence of Ishvara, right? Then after that, the next three acknowledge the omniscience and omnipresence of Ishvara. Pada Sevanam. Pada means quarter. This world is a quarter of God, right? The Purusha Suktam says 1/4 of God is manifested as this universe. So, Pada Sevanam means serving this world as service to God. That is Pada Sevanam. Then Archanam. Archanam is doing one's duty. The Lord has placed you in your position. He has placed you as a student, as a father, as a son, as a neighbor, as a citizen, as an employee. Whatever position you have in life, the Lord is the one who has placed you in that position. So doing your duty is called Archanam. Swakarmanatam Abhyarchya, Gita Shloka says, right? Archanam is Swakarmana Tam Abhyarchya. Then the third is Vandyam, bowing down to all living beings as God. So this is Vandyam, right? So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, these three are about the omnipotence of the Lord. Then the second three, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandyam, this is about the omniscience of the Lord, right? Basically, as the Ishvara, as the Vishwarupa Ishvara, right? Then the third, after that, compassionate nature, another three comes, Dasyam, Sakhyam, and Atmanivedanam. This is about the compassionate, the personal relationship with God, right? So you start as considering yourself as the servant of God. Then as you proceed still further, you will consider him as your friend. Then still further, you offer yourself and you say, I am inseparable from God, where you completely give up your free will, right? Your individuality is completely given up. So this is the 9 steps, gradually going from one to the other. Ultimately, you give up your individuality completely. Now, these are the 9 steps to God as per Bhagavatam, right? And this whole thing it's a huge bhakti literature we have, which describes this, how to do this based on these 9 steps. It is there. This is called Navavida Bhakti. And also this Dasyam Sakhyam, like, there people have expanded it in the bhakti literature, the sadhanas people have lived. So there's Shanta Bhava, Dasya Bhava, Sakhya Bhava, Vatsalya Bhava, Madhura Bhava, right? So these are like the Bhakti Shastras, like so much of Bhakti Shastras we have, right? By this personal aspect of Ishvara, how one can improve yourself. So ultimately you have to improve the same, Punya, Samskara, Jnana. How to improve Punya, Samskara, Jnana? Using this idea of personal aspect of God as omnipotent, omniscient, and compassionate person, using this bhakti, we can improve that. And once that is improved, then the Lord will give us the knowledge. once become eligible for the knowledge, then the knowledge will come. Now, how to become eligible for the knowledge? All this sadhana is there, right? Now, this bhakti sadhana is there. Now, in the Vaishnava, okay, I think we will stop here. It is already 8:30. So, we'll proceed in the next class. So, any questions? So, we have entered into the other aspect, right, of the bhakti and personal God. And then we will see how to reconcile and how the spiritual progress along with bhakti, and whichever marga which you go with, finally, like the symptoms, everything will be the same, which we will discuss in more detail. Yes, Savitri ma'am. Yes.
Yes, you that shloka said bhoktaram, right?
Hmm.
Does it include kartaram as well?
No. See, Ishvara is the Ishvara as the karta is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Okay. When you say Ishvara is and Bhoktaram Yajnitapasam is Ishvara as the Bhokta.
You said that whatever everybody goes through is all his only, right? It's like the universal. Same is true for kartaram as well.
That's what. When we say, see, that first line talks about two things. Bhoktaram Yajnitapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So when you say Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, there is Ishvara as the karta of this entire universe.
Yes. Okay.
Right? And when you say Bhoktaram Yajnitapasam, that is Ishvara as the Bhokta of the entire universe. And when you say Surudam Sarvabhutanam, there is Ishvara as the, feeling of the entire universe, as a feeler of the entire universe. Right? He is the one who is sitting in the heart of all living beings, and he is the one who is, feeling everything that you feel.
Okay.
That is why he is Surudam Sarvabhutanam.
I'm saying everything that anyone does, good or bad, is also the karta of Ishvara.
Yeah, everything is Ishvara. There's nothing other than Ishvara. That's why we say Om Tat Sat. God alone exists, right? Ishvara alone exists, nothing else. Yes.
Namaste Ji. Thank you
Namaste.
for the inner spiritual opening your classes first thing. And my question, so that everybody, everything in this universe and each and all is Brahma only, no?
Brahman.
Okay,
right?
Brahman.
Ishvara. Brahman. Right?
Okay.
There is nothing other than God.
Our body and everything is the made up of Panchaputas. That is not real, no?
No. So, see, everything, ultimately, what is everything made of? Everything is made of some ultimate matter, ultimate substance, and that substance we call as Brahman.
Okay.
So, everything is, there is nothing in this universe other than Brahman. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll chant Om Shanti, 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 and we'll wind up. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Rama Krishnarpanamastu.